Defying direct warnings from Beijing, a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier has entered the South China Sea. The mission: assert freedom of navigation in a contested region and challenge China's growing military presence. The carrier, accompanied by a battle group of destroyers and cruisers, began patrols near key shipping lanes and disputed islands. Pentagon officials state the operation is routine, but in these waters, nothing is truly routine anymore. Just days before the transit, China issued a warning, urging the United States to stay away from its so-called sovereign waters. Beijing declared the presence of U.S. carriers as a provocation and promised firm countermeasures. Freedom of navigation operations, or FONOPs, are legal under international law. They're conducted to challenge excessive maritime claims. The U.S. asserts that no nation can unlawfully restrict access to global sea lanes, especially in the South China Sea. The nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Nimitz has returned to the contested South China Sea, where it is conducting flight operations under the command of the Japan-based U.S. 7th Fleet. In a post highlighting the deployment, the U.S. Department of Defense shared images of EA-18G Growlers from VAQ-139 soaring above the ship, writing, "Bringing the heat," and reaffirming that Nimitz is ready to project power and demonstrate lethal capabilities in the region. The U.S. Navy maintains that Nimitz and its strike group provide a visible and combat-ready presence in the Western Pacific to reassure allies and uphold international maritime law. A spokesperson for the 7th Fleet previously told the UK Defense Journal that the vessel's presence underscores America's commitment to freedom of navigation and regional stability. This comes at a time when tensions are escalating due to China's increasingly assertive actions in the South China Sea. China continues to claim sovereignty over the vast majority of the South China Sea through its so-called Nine-Dash Line, despite overlapping claims from several Southeast Asian countries and a 2016 international tribunal ruling that found Beijing's claims to have no legal basis. Chinese military construction on disputed islands, including runways and radar systems, has raised concerns among neighboring nations and the international community. Reacting to the Nimitz's latest deployment, the People's Liberation Army Southern Theater Command condemned the U.S. Navy's actions, stating that the U.S. had deliberately disrupted the situation in the South China Sea and had seriously violated China's sovereignty and security, undermined regional peace and stability, and violated international law and basic norms governing international relations. The United States has pushed back strongly against China's narrative, asserting that unlawful and sweeping maritime claims in the South China Sea pose a serious threat to the freedom of the seas. In a broader policy statement, the U.S. government affirmed its position that freedoms of navigation and overflight, free trade and unimpeded commerce, and freedom of economic opportunity for South China Sea littoral nations are essential to regional and global stability. As long as some countries continue to claim and assert limits on rights that exceed their authority under international law, the United States will continue to defend the rights and freedoms of the sea guaranteed to all, the U.S. government added, reiterating that no nation should be intimidated or coerced into giving up their rights and freedoms. China's Navy has conducted combat readiness patrols near the disputed Scarborough Shoal in the South China Sea, while South Korean officials separately announced the discovery of more Chinese buoys in contested waters in the Yellow Sea. The Southern Theater Command of the People's Liberation Army conducted the drills in the territorial waters and airspace of China's Huangyan Island and surrounding areas. State-run news outlet Xinhua reported on Saturday, using China's name for the Scarborough Shoal. The report said the PLA had been conducting drills in the area throughout May to further strengthen the control of relevant sea and air areas, resolutely defend national sovereignty and security, and resolutely maintain peace and stability in the South China Sea. The Scarborough Shoal is a rocky islet claimed by the Philippines, located 220 kilometers, 119 miles, west of Luzon, the nearest landmass. Beijing blockaded and seized the territory, a traditional fishing ground, from Manila in 2012. The Chinese Navy regularly carries out provocative military drills in the area as part of its claims of sovereignty over almost all of the South China Sea, despite a 2016 international tribunal ruling that Beijing's claims had no legal basis under international law. In late April, Manila accused Beijing of carrying out dangerous maneuvers and obstruction after a Chinese naval ship damaged a Philippine Coast Guard ship with a water cannon near the shoal. Naval close calls are becoming frequent. A minor misstep, like a warning shot or radar lock, could spark a major international incident. With both sides unwilling to back down, the room for diplomacy narrows. An aircraft carrier isn't just a ship, it's a mobile airbase. It can project power anywhere, anytime. In the South China Sea, it symbolizes American resolve and reminds adversaries of U.S. naval dominance. The carrier's transit is part of a broader geopolitical struggle. From the Taiwan Strait to the Indo-Pacific, every movement signals strategic intent. The South China Sea is more than a contested waterway, it's a front line in a 21st century power contest. More patrols, more warnings, and more risks lie ahead. Will cooler heads prevail? Or are we heading toward a maritime confrontation unlike any we've seen before? The world waits and watches the waves of conflict grow. The U.S. Navy's presence in the South China Sea is a statement. To Beijing, it's a challenge. To the rest of the world, it's a test of will, law, and power on the high seas. What's your take? Should the U.S. continue challenging China in these waters? Are aircraft carriers still the ultimate symbol of power? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more frontline military coverage.